Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
Blue Dragon 5.
Jacob Wild, too.
And welcome to another very Scottish edition of Tiki's Universe. Yes, I'm not going to do much Scottish this episode, but hey, we have to go.
You call that a Scottish accent?
I know, it's bad. Ooh, Dragon, I can do Miss Piggy as a Scotsman, though. Ooh, carry me.
I thought you said you could do it.
Ooh, carry me.
Right now I don't see you doing
You're
it.
making Frank all sick to his stomach, you failure.
Okay. So, folks, welcome to Tiki's Universe. This is the umbrella show for all things animated on the So You Want to Be an Imagineer channel, all things current animated programming, yada, yada, yada. Jacob Weil and I, we still have to finish up with Milo Murphy. Dragon, Jacob, and I, we're going to dive into Tangled as soon as we can. DuckTales coming up. Jacob and I are going to talk about Rick and Morty over the summer as well. Lots of stuff happening on Tiki's Universe, but for now, let's concentrate on Samurai Jack Season 5, Episode 5. Yeah, of course, it's the highly anticipated return of the Scotsman. Jacob, let's start this off with your claim that you made off air that I kind of disagree with. Let's kind of jump into that discussion a little bit.
Yeah, let's crucify him.
Oh no, just like from a standing point, it just kind of seems like the episode is at the beginning with the Scotsman is just a little disconnected from the rest of even thematically from the rest of the episode.
Which I think, and let's just kind of like break that down right now, because of course we'll talk about the Scotsman stuff before we dive into the meat of the episode with Ashi and Jack and all that character development. By the way, I'm going to make a claim here. I think Ashi is one of my favorite fictional characters since Joy and Sadness from Inside Out. Like, I am really getting into the Ashi character. I think she's fantastic. Her character arc, it's fantastic stuff. I'm really blown away by what they've done with her in 5 episodes, and I'm really excited to see what they do with her next. Anyways, I mean, I'm sure there might be others that might reach up to it, in between now and then, but in general, I think she hits a high watermark for me with fictional characters that are kind of new and not just a reboot of a comic character or, whatever. Suck on that, Civil War Spider-Man. I'm sorry, Dragon. I'm sorry. Anyways. All right, so Jacob, you seem to think this is like a big-lipped alligator moment was your claim.
There's a bit of an exaggeration, but yes.
Good, because I don't really think so at all. I think this opening it's definitely within stark contrast to the rest of the episode, but I think it's meant to be like that. I think what we're seeing here is we're kind of seeing, like, the people definitely think that Aku is still evil personified. And he might be, but I think the whole point of this episode is Aku's malaise. And oh my god, they animate Aku just being bored so well. It's like, seriously, he turns into like the giant like bowling ball of evil darkness and knocks out this army. And he's just like so morose about the whole thing.
I love that malaise thing. Is the way they edit.
Malaise.
Ever since the promo, that just looks so hilarious. He's going to cut to the wide shot, and then when you see him like looking directly at the camera, it's very
right.
But to the opening
it's very
point
Mojo
here, so.
Jojo-esque in a way.
My malaise.
Yeah. So I like something I really want to credit to the opening is that it's like pretty much like an opening to the original Samurai Jack episodes. It's like where we'd have kind of like the inciting incident. Not necessarily every episode of Samurai Jack starts with Jack. Sometimes we'll see like the inciting incident, then Jack will then shortly we'll cut to Jack and what he's doing, and how he'll get involved in the story. So that I really liked in this episode, and I like that as we're getting further and further into the season, again, we're getting more and more of these we're linking up more with what the original show was, but of course we have all this kind of this new status quo fueling it as well. So it's new stuff as well as kind of fundamentally we're getting back to the original formula. Anyway, we have like the familiar Aku inciting incident, but also of course the big representation as being the Scotsman, Scotsman's return, a big
With
big
his
flag from
army
the
of
original.
daughters behind him.
Yep. It's kind of just with an opening like this. I think there might be kind of just story wise. It seems like we're reflecting how Jack at the beginning of this episode, following the last episode, Jack seems to kind of he's progressively clearing his baggage, clearing his emotional and psychological baggage as the episodes have progressed until the end of this one. He's gone through a lot of stuff, and he's kind of last episode seemed pretty in line with what Jack usually is. Bear in mind, he's still seeing kind of the id of himself, but again, he's progressively getting better and better. Again, we're in line with the old show, and of course, that's kind of what we're starting with here. As he gets closer to the original, the universe is getting closer to the original status quo as well. And with the daughter reveal was hysterical. I love that we saw the daughters before we saw the Scotsman. And I love that it's kind of like an homage to the wife, to one of the best episodes of Samurai Jack. Don't get me wrong. Now, I want to make this clear. I don't know if he did the third one, but Mark Andrews, of course, Storyman from Storyman and storyboard artist from Pixar extraordinaire. Mark Andrews worked in a lot of other stuff. He's done the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. He's kind of he's the action guy. It's kind of what he's known. It's kind of one of Brad Bird's crew. And he wrote storyboarded the first two Scotsman episodes, which are some of my favorites. The first one, part 1 and part 2, and part 2 being like, oh, we got to rescue his wife. Who I was rewatching both of them. They're hysterical. And
I just that reveal of the daughters is so fun. We have him, and of course he's just like the Scotsman. Like, we know instantly that it's him, but 50 years has done a lot to him. He's in the wheelchair. He's got the giant white beard. But he's still ready to go. He's still just as feisty as ever.
How many daughters did it look like he has?
Like more than 50.
More than 50. Yeah, I'd sign off on that.
They're all about the same age.
Well, you saw the size of his wife.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just,
anyway,
don't let her hear that.
It's just such a.
I wouldn't.
Like, Flora, what are you wearing? I invite you out to a day of battle, and you go dressed like you're going dancing.
So the reason I really bring up the wife with that is that I love that what the wife brought out was this wonderful humanity in the Scotsman that no matter how opposite and contrary to what his description of his wife is, he loves her with all of his heart. He's so darn sweet and nice to her, and it's so hilarious and endearing. We see that he's really a really endearing, loving father in this. Like, of course, he's like kind of your classic. Oh, what are you wearing? What do they eat a battle?
They're like, Dad.
It's hysterical. That's such a Tarkovsky.
Hey, you guys can hear me okay, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, because I just realized my mic isn't plugged in, and I'm using my webcam mic, so that might be why I sound a little off. I'm going to change that in just a minute, but I'm sorry. Just go ahead.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the Tarkovsky hunched over shoulders, like you see in Hotel Transylvania all the time. Is when we see kind of like it's like when people are just kind of slouched over, like, yes, you're right.
That's dead.
Yep. So
of course he gets his epic roast of Aku in front of everyone.
Of course, which when the Scotsman loves to roast people, loves to go on these rants. Of course, and the first time with Jack, of course, he just roasts Jack. He just kind of rants about Jack, and then he's ranting about how much he loves his wife. And then the Scotsman, he's just going on and on like a blithering idiot. That's how great his wife is.
That's one of the few times that Jack was like probably thinking like, please somebody put a cork in this guy.
Yeah. And it's kind of great is that with the Scotsman back, he is fully in character and how we remember him. I think the great kind of juxtaposition. Bear in mind, his age, but I'm saying in terms of characterization, kind of he's very true to what he's always been. I think it's interesting to look at with the Scotsman is that he in this show he is the opposite of Jack in so many ways, and that he has moved on. He's moved forward. He's moved forward. He has a family. He's got daughters. He's still kind of fighting the good fight. He's not really being kind of weighed down by past failures. And again, that's what the Scotsman character is. He's kind of daft to everything else, but he's sticking to what he knows. He's sticking to his gut. He's just sticking to kind of the, he knows what he's good at, and that's kind of fighting Aku's guys, and and kind of leading his Celtic brethren. And again, he's remained who he was, but but interestingly, of course, the path that he takes, just kind of moving forward, does lead to the logical conclusion, which would be a demise.
Sure, sure. Which I think he probably knew full well this was going to happen as soon as he started mocking Aku. It's kind of like a strike me down and I shall become more powerful than you could possibly imagine, you know?
It came out of nowhere and was almost kind of funny if it wasn't tragic.
That's the thing. It's like, one, it's again, he's in rare forms with all the insults of Aku. And the great thing about that is it's kind of a twofold thing. One, he's doing it to save his daughters, which is really sweet. Secondly, he's calling Aku out for like being. It's kind of like a meta thing of calling Aku out. Yeah, you just been sitting around doing nothing. You're a scared wee baby. You know, and then again, for me, honestly, this moment it kind of had me getting weepy a little bit. It's like, oh my goodness,
yeah.
Just when the way they did it and this is what to me was just they did this perfectly. I thought, because the tragedy of his death, of just Aku just like, you know, he lasers him, and then like the way we have like, you know, the bagpipes playing, which again that's how we first were introduced to him, the large Scottish man playing bagpipes. You know, he's dead skeleton, then turns to ash. Oh my god, I was like kind of weak because I love that. We all love the Scotsman, and like we've been building him up, and then we kill him off like that in this opening to an episode. But then we again, like, it's this great mix of what we got in the show so far. As much as we are kind of upping kind of the violence and kind of the darkness, we're at the same time keeping the humor of Samurai Jack. So we have instant levity that follows with the Force Ghost. And not only is it a Force Ghost, it's a Force Ghost joke about Hayden Christensen.
Yes.
Remember the whole, look, I'm in my prime too.
I'm in my prime.
And I love I just love the delivery of it, but at the same time, I love it. It's continuing an idea we really didn't spend too much time on from the originals. That Jack and the Scotsman have like a really neat character trait that bonds them together. Is that both of their swords are magical. Mm-hmm. See, the Scotsman's sword, not only in terms of it brings it back, it has like Celtic engravings and Celtic magic. Kind of like Thor's hammer has like, you know, the Asgardian magical engravings on it.
It will be worthy of the powers of Scotsman.
And of course, you get that great thing of like, but Dad, how are you? Like Flora or someone said, like, Dad, how are you back? It says, you're back, sort of, yeah, like kind of.
yeah.
This would be worthy of the powers of the Scotsman.
I love almost like a Lucky Charms commercial is going on about like, oh yes, I'm here because of Celtic magic.
Oh God.
But again, I love that
the perfect comparison.
It feels like kind of the Powerpuff Girls, kind of like with their parody of the Lucky Charms rabbit. You know, it's almost like kind of their serial mascot sort of like that. Right. It's done with so much like tongue-in-cheek humor applied to it. Like, yeah, we all know this, but we're making fun of just the absurdity of these cereal commercials. But no, I love your logic. Okay, so Scotsman's easy, saying we're gonna lick our wounds, we're gonna come back. We gotta find Jack though, and that's why I think it's getting plot relevant. I think okay, this is definitely gonna come back.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and also just the fact that Aku is in that malaise state, which is very important.
Yeah, two things I own in the opening before really all I got to say on is that one, in terms of the relevance of this for the stories, I love that the Scotsman. I just love the message of this. That Aku and Jack, again, the crux of this season seems to be again getting Aku and Jack back to basics, and the way, and I love that we're doing that through the Scotsman, like an original kind of totem of this of what we know the series to be is putting our characters back on track.
Sure.
And this is an interesting question I'd like to raise about Aku. This kind of got me thinking, because just the way he vaporizes the Scotsman. Like the threat of Aku is, we see the threat of Aku is he's all powerful yet bored, which again makes him we saw what happens just like on a whim he just like vaporized the Scotsman, which in itself is
basically that was like his own personal therapy. Like, oh, why did he have to bring up the samurai?
yeah, and. That raises, I think, the interesting question of how truly dangerous, like in Aku we haven't seen, how truly dangerous can Aku be in this darker status quo we've been working with this season when he's backed into a corner with his old foe that we know he's afraid of.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I'm just saying, I think that's going to be, we got a glimpse of like kind of the danger of Aku just when he doesn't care. Imagine when he does care and he's fearing for his life like he did the very first episode.
Okay, so let's transition into the Jack and Ashi storyline. Like I said, guys, I am completely sold on Ashi. I'm loving her.
Yeah.
Of course, I love the escape from the island via like the magical like Chinese dragon creature.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Kind of serpentine dragon thing.
Yep. Oh, Blue Dragon too.
Sure.
It was a blue
So-
dragon. That's right.
Right.
I think technically though is a serpent.
Yeah.
Not to split hairs, but
Right. So, so Ashi, in terms of her characterization, what we see in this episode, you're right, Tiggy. Ashi, I think, is probably at her most interesting in this episode. She's going through a big change. At the end, the really powerful ending of last episode with the Ladybug really kind of set her down a path. She's going through a big transitional phase. She's going through a big transitional phase, and the idea that all of the Aku teachings were a lie. That's a big world shaking kind of foundational shift in everything she's knowing. Like she's like, am I working with this guy now? I mean, is he putting me on? Is he trying to save his own skin? I mean, is like I could have killed this guy. I can still kill this guy at any instant. I love that. Just to show you how much she has in common with Jack, we have her own kind of id. She has the priestess id.
Right.
The giant.
which is probably just as terrifying.
Yeah, no, it's like the moon turns into it, just kind of our giant priestess, which is basically Ashi's kind of doubts being voiced through kind of her personification of her tormentors, kind of her big. It's like how Jack envisioned his father earlier on. Now we have Ashi envisioning her mother,
And both are convincing them that what they're doing is wrong in a way.
Yeah. Let's see. So again, of course, the. Yes. So. Let's see. So Ashi, the other great thing, we still have the continuing dynamic of, the dynamic is, as we saw in the last episode, the way it begins here, of course, it strengthens and transitions over time. But we start in the familiar area of, okay, the dynamic is Jack is calm and wise. He's like, when she's demanding answers, he says like, no. And she's asking why. Like, why won't you tell me? Why? And as she's getting into her like samurai pig, all her rants, she's like, you a distrustful samurai. He's going like, if I tell you now, you won't listen. Compared with the skeptical, impatient Ashi, and over time, Ashi is won over with the explanation of the world's beauty and like kind of the examples of like how Aku was wrong and Jack's been right about him the whole time. And we'll get into a few of those examples in a millisecond. But of course, a really memorable part of the episode, I thought, Jacob, is that remember the description of the stars. Like basically, the image we're working with right now is she's looking up at
the whole star, the whole sun and moon characters, and how like with their arrows they created an infinity of stars.
I really like that too, and it's also Jack reaching into his childhood, which again we saw a little glimpse of this season, which is something we're kind of used to from the old show. Just kind of Jack kind of echoing words of wisdom, and kind of us, the audience, kind of seeing it through Ashi's eyes. And what's also cool about that, it has like a really cool kind of Kubo vibe. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. It's like when Monkey told her story.
I got kind of more Fantasia from it, but.
That's fair. I was
just going to bring up Fantasia. Yeah, that's one of my favorite moments from Fantasia, shooting the arrow into the sky and the stars and all that. That's a wonderful moment. Yeah. I see the Kubo vibe too. Yeah, with the mythology and everything for sure.
Like I said, I was getting more of a Fantasia vibe.
I think it's a nice mix of the two.
I mean, not that you're wrong with the Kubo thing or anything. I'm just saying.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely a little bit of both there.
What I like about this whole thing is like the fact that Ashi didn't even try to dispute it, like she just like happily accepted it without even.
I love that smile shot. That's like all you need. Again, it's kind of like it. What's so great about that shot is that it harkens back to that moment when she was a kid in the first episode when she looked out and saw that through that crack in the cave, the beauty of the world, and she had that little smile. Again, it's harkening back to that moment. That was great.
Also, one thing I want to mention is I love the little moment of like, when Jack kind of is like, you're too filled with Aku's hate to understand. She's like, you don't know me. You don't know what I've been through. How, and that's like really the first indication that Ashi is definitely on a changing course this episode.
And that actually is a good point on her end too. Like Jack doesn't know what she's been through.
Like all these years of suffering and torment.
Like it is a good. Like it is a good. Like she does have a valid point. I mean, he doesn't know.
Right. So then Jack then kind of shows her the proof in the pudding with a few examples of Aku's kind of tyranny. Like one of the great examples of this was kind of the tree example. It's kind of a good visual.
I love the tree's design.
Yeah, it's kind of this really kind of cool, beautiful looking tree. Again, kind of into what she saw from her little glimpse.
You know what that reminded me of a little bit? This is kind of a deep cut reference, but do you guys remember the one tree with the leaves on it in The Land Before Time that they found, like the Mother and Littlefoot?
A little.
It's like early on in The Land Before Time, and the Mother and Littlefoot come upon, like, they're in this desert, and then they come upon the one tree, and of course you guys remember the leaves in Land Before Time are called tree stars, and they have that great moment of Littlefoot, Littlefoot's mother reaching up to grab the tree star off the branch. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, but that's kind of what it reminded me of.
And the look of it overall kind of reminded me of the peach tree scene from Kung Fu Panda.
A little bit, yeah. I kind of see that.
Maybe this scene with Master Oogway fading away.
Yeah, I mean, I like kind of using in the vein of Kung Fu Panda. I do like kind of using
mainly the usage of colors. That's
sure.
It just reminds me of the beauty of that scene.
Yeah, in the vein of that, I like the kind of these teaching a lesson through a physical education like that. Again, really nice kind of use of imagery to kind of deliver a point that this used to be a force filled with kind of a Lorax kind of vibe. Like this place used to be full of beautiful trees like this, and Aku just to demonstrate his power, he vaporized all of it except for this one tree. It's now something interesting. Just given what one detail I know about the next episode is that there is a history that has continued to unfold. So whether this is just the fact that Jack knows all these little stories is that showing you all the stuff he's been through in these 50 years going.
Yeah, definitely. It's like all these stories are kind of like standalone Samurai Jack episodes that we missed between now and then.
Yeah. So let's talk about the city for a second, because now this is a big return, because we haven't been to the city anywhere in this season so far. We've been to a town or two, like a ruined town in the first episode. Now we're getting back to the city, which of course is where Jack kind of shows up in the first place. Like we're getting back to basics here. So
Jack cleans up, that's for sure.
Of course, I love Jack. I call it Jack in a Hat.
Jack in a Hat. That's good. I like that.
I like Jack in a Hat too, because it's a little reminiscent of the basket thing he wore. Just watching the Scots episode, of course, of the basket thing.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know if that's intentional, but just the fact Jack wearing all sorts of wacky outfits through Samurai Jack, and then you get him in the hat.
It's like we need to blend in and stay conspicuous. I know I would wear a giant hat.
And of course, I mentioned this off air a little bit, but it very much, like, I'd be surprised if visually it wasn't kind of a little bit inspired by Carmen Sandiego with the trench coat and the giant hat. If it was just the giant hat or just the trench coat, then I'd say it was a coincidence. But since it's both, I'm like, it's got to be Carmen Sandiego.
What that scene is just Ashi's looks is like, you're seriously wearing that?
Yeah, and again, just to mention it real quick, what's kind of cool about this shot here is that Ashi, the way she looks in the scene, this is like such kind of like a freeze frame moment, because it's from a distance. We've blown it up here. It's somewhat. Well, I'm not saying it's like from that much of a difference. I'm just saying it's kind of a blink and you miss it moment of just like this, like kind of still. It's like a painting essentially, just of just kind of Asha with her eyes a little bigger than usual. Kind of, this is like purely in the Tarkovsky style. It's like if you took like a freeze from some Bruce Timm art from Batman the Animated Series, you could like see it's like it's comic paneled, but it's put into the show for a moment. It's kind of like one of those, and so it looks really communicates a lot. And she's looking like, it's a weird looking outfit Jack's got on, and Jack's like, I'm all serious. I'm on the mission. I don't care how I look.
Right.
So real quick with the city, just the cool idea of the city. Of course, we've seen the city. It's always been kind of this futurized Aku branded all over the place, and I like the difference between that and here, because again, we are kind of updating. 50 years have gone by. Is that Aku doesn't really have enough time to brand, as far as we're seeing, and what he's doing is, he's talked about it, of course, but as we return to form by going to the city, it's gotten darker and more. I don't want to say criminalized. It's gotten darker and more dangerous and cruel over 50 years, as we see by the Afro criminal. I have to call him the Afro criminal who comes in, kind of a Russian Afro guy. He comes in, and I love this character trait. My favorite character trait with Ashi is that she gets really sensitive when kids are put in peril.
Oh yeah, big time.
It's like she's got a sensitivity to kids being in danger, which I think we all do. Because I love seeing Atherash because it makes sense as we saw the trauma she endured as a child herself, and the fact that again, this to me is like where Targos is like hitting the rail on the head. Like, oh god, this is like you don't have to show violence, or just the implications.
Yeah, and that's a really really great thing about this episode in general. I think that it gets really right is the implied violence for sure.
Yeah, just like we see this happy go.
Actually shows because this shows this is like the first episode they seem to be PG instead of like TV-14.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but it's actually rated slightly lower than the others.
Yeah,
I actually didn't notice that, but that's kind of cool. I can see why.
I mean, it's obviously not as like over the top as the others are, but
true.
but still the implications of it still remain.
Well, we don't exactly have Jack with a gaping flesh wound.
Oh God! Oh! Don't remind me. Oh
But,
man.
let me see.
Or any bleeding wolf.
Or a bleeding wolf either. No. But yeah, the thing with the Afro, kind of our Russian Afro guys, again, it's like we see these happy kids playing in a park in like the sector he's assigned to kind of torment, and he says, "It's occupied. Is that a problem?" No. Oh god, just the fact he's gonna murder all those kids.
It's kind of like the Anakin Skywalker moment, but done right in a way.
Well, okay, we can't compare every murder of children to Revenge of the Sith. Come on.
No, I think you can. I think that's a pretty good benchmark for murdering children.
Okay, they're murdering them for different reasons. One's a psycho, the other one's, not happy about it.
Right.
Anyway, let's go. Speaking of cruel characters, let's get to just in overall the story of the Dominator story. That's what our red guy's called. He's called the Dominator. So it's the whole story with that guy.
Okay.
So I'm sorry. Go on.
No, I was just about to say, like, the whole thing with the children, like you mentioned, that's going to play a big part in, like, the last 10 minutes or so of the episode, kind of the big climactic point of the episode.
Did you guys like the design of the creatures, like the adult creatures and all that?
Yeah, I kind of like the anime influence on them. Like, initially they had, like, kind of these really kind of cutesy, kind of exaggerated features, but then we see them kind of go in this really kind of dark Gremlins direction at the end.
Although I will say, of course, the show is kind of intrinsically linked with Rick and Morty now. It kind of reminds me of Mr. Meeseeks from Mr. Morty.
Mr. Morty?
Yeah, I'm Rick and Morty. You know what I'm talking. I'm Mr. Meeseeks. Look at me.
Yeah, I know the Meeseeks.
Oh wow! I'm Mr. Meeseeks. Okay, I'm done.
Can we get back on topic?
Yeah, seriously, we need to bring Rick and Morty into this.
Well, I'm just saying, the design's similar, the blue and whatnot. Anyways,
all right.
Not really. Not really.
Oh.
So again, I like that Ashi sees kind of the cruelty of this world kind of firsthand via the blue victims. We don't have a name on these guys, but they're like kind of our blue victims here. And
there's the same species as you and Adventure Blue Dude.
Anyway, so Ashi then glimpses that.
It's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting to see that her conditioning from the priestess kind of wore away pretty quickly, though. I mean, between 2 episodes, she got washed away pretty quickly. I mean, not that that's an issue or anything. She just joined joined Jack pretty quickly after realizing the truth.
Well, again, this episode she's been proven more. She's contemplating it before. When he saved her skin, got her to dry land. That was when she made her decision to stick with him. So she had to kind of buddy with him the rest of the way.
I mean, it's not a complaint. I'm just saying it happened kind of quickly.
Sure. Anyway,
well, then again, it kind of had to happen quickly considering this is only 10 episodes.
Yeah. So I really do like that Ashi glimpses kind of a classic Samurai Jack story, and that's how she kind of gets further more on Jack's side as she's kind of put in his shoes through this like literally as she's like there's this moment where kind of Jack has this earth-shattering thing to her like the minute Ashi's like after she hears about how the Aku stuff is false, says what can we do about it? Nothing. It says, wait, what? Nothing. There's no hope.
I've got to say, though, her just asking, what can we do? That was the moment that really sold me on her. Like, as if I wasn't sold enough already. I was just like, what can we do? I'm like, yes, this is a character who isn't just satisfied with, like, isn't just going to stop at, like, okay, my entire world point's been turned upside down. No, she wants to avenge it. She's out for blood, and I love that about her.
And again, the minute that's kind of put in the stratosphere of her character, the minute that's just kind of put in the forefront, I should say, then she's kind of like thrown right into a kind of a classic Samurai Jack adventures to see like kind of what side she'd be like basically kind of buying, basically a little glimpse of what she's in for, but also it's kind of it's basically Jack's going to start a journey here. It's going to get him back to kind of again get him back to getting back to his old stuff, because we saw at the beginning, and for episode 1, he's kind of going on like kind of a classic kind of adventure of, okay, well, he's rolling through town, he's kind of saving folks, and then he's moving on. So, so here again, we have like another dark, traumatic thing Jack's going through, and I love that. Just to focus on Ashi here for a moment, I love that. What we do with her is that she suffers torture from the Dominator. Which, by the way, I really do love the charging gag where as he's like shocking the crap out of her, he needs to recharge with the
right.
But seriously, how creepy is that guy?
It's so mundane. He is creepy, Dragon. You're right, but especially because of the whole when you first see him, you kind of think he's a robot, and then it just I think that whole thing is just some great visual symbolism of how of just how little humanity Aku's minions have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean the fact
that he's actually a human too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
the fact that Ashi's able to break free, that proves what she went through over how many years she's alive. What she's going through right now is nothing compared to what she's been through.
Yeah, and of course, I love the breaking point for her is when he starts calling her. What is it, Dragon? He starts calling her upbringing into question, right?
Well, it's less the upbringing, more about he's going on about how he's using the kids
right. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that just kind of gives her flashbacks of her upbringing. It's just oh, you mother effer.
Yeah, it's what's great about it is that on the screen we see her being tortured and Jack kind of fighting off the blue victims of the kids, and as that's basically. That's kind of on one level inspiring her, seeing kind of what Jack's going through, not hurting these children. That's earning points with her already. That he's trying not to hurt children. And the other thing, of course, is when this scumbag, this guy really is a creep, because one, he's doing that really icky face squishing thing with Ashi, and then he's it's a pretty one too. It's really creepy. And then again, the minute he's talking about oh yeah, just inject stuff in the kids' necks, and it'll turn to a frequency instant weapon. Oh, yeah, really, really scummy. And then just seeing her is kind
of course, he's pointing out the fact that Jack still isn't, he's refusing to hurt any of them.
Yeah, and I like that with allying herself with Jack, I think allows her really the motivation she would need to get out of that situation where being misled on the path of Aku, I think she would have been stuck in this situation. Then again, she's well trained, so I can't say for certain. I like to think that, kind of being motivated by the hero kind of gets her out of that situation.
Uh-huh.
So as we see Jackson, he's holding back, he's trying not to hurt the kids, and then we have this really unbelievable moment here where just God, for a moment again, you didn't know because she threw the guy, presumably killed the guy. She killed the Dominator, and then we see electrical surge through all the kids, and we're thinking that's a thing in their neck's kind of short circuiting. We don't know. It looks like they're dead. I mean, they're all knocked unconscious, and then Jack's reaction to it is utter horror. Again, a big trauma he suffered here, and it's oh God, your heart goes out for Jack. We have this really creepy red. There's this red image of kind of Jack, the horror of he's bringing the fingers down on his face, and the eyes go big, and you see his teeth.
Yeah, and kind of the color starts to sink from his face as well.
Yeah, again, it's your heart goes out to Jack.
Mm-hmm. It is a very, very heart-wrenching scene, though. I do kind of have to admit, if you would at least check to see if they were still alive at that point, this could have all been avoided.
Well, it's the fact that we know Jack isn't in a good mental state. He's just still in recovery from that constantly.
I know. I'm just saying that's why I'm not really splitting any hairs or getting into like I said, it ruins the episode kind of stuff. But
yeah.
I'm just saying, if he would have just checked, I'm she did, he would have seen, nope, they're still alive.
And it seems like any progress Jack has made, he's just broken. This moment it broke him so much. He's he spiraled back into where he was, which is why that ominous samurai vision is more vocal and it's more there. It's seems so real to him, saying it's time, and then he walks off with it. Yeah. It's again, it's really really heart wrenching. It really just kind of oh God. And again, we the audience don't know either if that realistic realistically would be the case that if they all have a short circuit in their neck, I mean, they might even have it's like a Suicide Squad thing for all we know. Like there could have been bombs in the neck.
Right.
So then I love that we do end hopeful with Ashi. And Ashi has now been Jack has inspired hope in Ashi with the fact that the world was a better place before Kukim ran. She's been set straight, and that she ushers in kind of her hopeful in here that everyone's okay. Everyone, as you can see, everyone's kind of they're waking up, and I love that she's holding one of them, and it wakes up. And by the way, just kudos to the episode for pulling off kind of the death fake out twice and making it.
I was about to say that.
Times,
Yeah.
because they made it work and it didn't feel
Uh-huh.
repetitive, and it actually didn't feel hokey. Because again, it's like they really sell you on, oh god, these are deaths, but of course the second the Scotsman really does die, but again, it's kind of with a grain of salt. And then here we actually have like a really good fake out of a death, and again 2 in 1 episode, and it's that's impressive to get away with that and make it play well. So
But
the end, the essence.
I definitely think it's very. No, it's fine. I definitely think it's very thematic. You know what I mean? I think it's very intentional. The fact that they have that fake out and then this fake out, and this fake out, of course, is a lot more dramatic and with a lot more weighty implications. Even though we all love the Scotsman, but I feel like that would have been a good way for the Scotsman to go out, even if he did come out as a Force ghost. Whereas this is just a horrifying. It's just like, you know what I mean? It's like. There's so many layers to this as well. It's like you can also look at the fact that it was Ashi's actions who actually shut off that killed them in the first place if you think they're dead. So I don't know, it's a very powerful moment.
Yeah, and again, the ending of this episode is perfect, like the note we ended on, because again, just the minute Ashi's like, she's on Jack's side, and again, the minute we have some hope in the episode, then Jack's gone, and then she's saying the perfect lines, like not only just samurai. She says the name of the show, and then we just cut to the Wachak, Samurai Jack, Wachak.
I know, it's perfect. It's perfect. Okay.
Perfect. Oh god, really great. So guys, I guess get into the promo.
Yeah, promo, sure.
Okay, promo. Essentially, we have a really kind of cool looking Guardians of Jack. It seems like kind of these big kind of elephant feet looking guys.
And they have a name, the Woolies. I think that's what they're called.
Oh, sure. Yeah, they look really cool, and like they're all about like, we must not let her hurt the samurai.
I do remember they did appear in an earlier episode.
Oh, they did.
Like I think they appeared in one of the 4 seasons.
Oh, really?
Check that out. That'd be good. Oh, well, from what I understand, next episode's gonna get into kind of like the influence of Jack and the positive influence of Jack to many people.
It seems like overall it might be more focusing on Ashi based on the trailer.
Well,
I'm surprised if we don't see Jack at all in this episode, to tell you the truth.
we know he's gonna be in.
Well, he was in the trailer, so I'm assuming. So
was he in the trailer? I'm sorry, I missed that.
I'm assuming we'll at least see a bit of him, but it seems like mostly we focus on Ashi, or at least focus on Ashi seeing the influence that Jack has had on the world.
Right.
Yes. Kind of going around, maybe seeing some familiar faces from previous episodes for all we know. Like those guys, or maybe who knows who else. So again, the main crux of what we know is spoken to is that Jack is in danger, and we see kind of Jack in this meditative state. So that's all we really see.
And some people have brought up like you're a bounty hunter. You're trying to kill him. She's like, I'm not trying to kill him. I'm trying to find him.
Right. Okay, so
some people brought up something interesting about that, though. The fact that they think that she's trying to kill him, like another sister, one of the daughters is probably still alive and out there somewhere.
Maybe.
They said because how else would they be able to recognize someone who looks like Ashi?
Then again, the cult of Aku might be kind of
Yeah, I was about to say that it could just be like we don't know how far spread the daughters of
It's just
Aku
a theory. It's just a theory from a comment I read on YouTube, which I thought actually kind of makes sense because, as you guys stated before, he didn't necessarily kill all of them. He threw some of them off the cliff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, one. There will be one left if that one's still alive.
And one of them could have theoretically still survived.
Sure.
We have yet to see, but
okay.
it was just a thought.
All right.
I have one bit of speculation, and that is that Ashi is going to save Jack from killing himself, and that's what Jack went off to do, and the visual representation of the Horseman is Jack's own thoughts of killing himself.
That'd
What do
be
you guys think
interesting.
about that?
I like that theory. I'm not sure.
That's what several people have been saying.
I'm not necessarily sure it's going to go down that route, but I like that idea, though.
Because I
mean,
definitely think all those children dying would be a breaking point for Jack. I mean, obviously, as we've seen already, it is a breaking point.
Well, I like that idea, and I'd be all for it if it goes down that way.
Because technically you guys are right. Like whenever Jack's psyches or like whether his father or his own subconscious tells him to basically off himself, he does see that figure.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So now the fact that he's finally like embraced the figure, like, yeah, you're right. It's time.
Sure. So, well, I think ultimately, here's my theory, I guess, but I like your theories. I want to make that clear. I really do like that suicide theory. I get a sense the next episode Jack's going to learn how to go about, like, basically in this meditative state, wherever he's gone off to, wherever this kind of figure has led him to, whether it's like from a suicide attempt that he was, the point in thinking about it, he might have learned something. So regardless, I think whether that happens or not, Jack's going to get in this meditative state by the end of the episode. He's going to learn how to go about defeating Aku and getting home. He's going to have some vision of clarity, which might lead us to the Guardian story point, kind of the Guardian of the Time Portal story point. I think for the future episodes, I think the Scotsman could. I'm sorry, not Scotsman. The samurai, the kind of our mysterious kind of green samurai character could be either. Jack's tormentor, who in this kind of vision of him is kind of is going to be the one who's going to enlighten him to this information. Basically, be like this is a guy kind of ushered Jack the feat that lost him the sword, and this guy's going to be just kind of the thing he's envisioning that kind of gives him clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like how he has visions of his father and himself beating him up. Basically, this guy could be someone that.
Oh, I like that. I like that. How it kind of feels like this thing's going to be like a personification of darkness, but it turns out being an opposite kind of flip on that.
Sure. Yeah. Other thing could be maybe
Jacob. I'm sorry.
I was just telling Dragon to go ahead. I thought you were pausing because of me.
So the other thing, it could be a hero maybe from way back in the day, like a kind of a flashback episode. The next one could be like what basically Jack says, where it could be a flashback where we learn of what this samurai is like a hero from the old day, probably died in battle, and that's kind of what motivates like a suicide for Jack, or basically, and eventually like whatever the. I'm bear in mind I'm tacking on the suicide because it's a good idea you guys came up with, but the point is like it's kind of that guy could be a hero from the past who went down in battle, and this could, in the end, motivate Jack down a more hopeful path and what he takes away from this guy.
Why would he be afraid of it?
Well, again, if it's like kind of a great samurai hero who ended up dead, I'm saying that could be like he's going to follow that path, but he doesn't want to be unsuccessful in his goals. That's why he would be afraid of facing that. That's like, again, facing what the Scotsman went through, facing kind of an ultimate demise.
That makes sense.
Okay.
I was just saying, if it's like some great hero, why would he be afraid of it? Why would he be afraid of it? But I guess what you said makes sense.
Well, yeah, like either one or the other. I mean, it could be that way. It could be the way where it's again, it's just kind of this tormentor.
Or it could be something that none of us have.
Sure,
said.
that's always on the table. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, this season's always been full of surprises that a lot of our speculations have been wrong.
Most of our speculations have been wrong. Yes.
I mean, we thought the Scotsman would play a larger part in this episode, but he's dead within the first 3 minutes.
Well, he's still around technically.
And I'm just saying, but I just said he got killed. I'm not saying he's not around anymore. But I'm just saying we thought he'd play a larger part overall in this episode. He just appeared.
Right.
I mean, so a lot of our speculations so far have been blown out the water.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's entirely possible that something.
Okay.
So it's entirely possible that something, and nothing that we said will happen.
Right.
Or a combination of what we said.
All right. I get it.
I'm just trying to get my word out.
Oh, you got it.
You got it like 3 times, man. All right. I'm sorry. I don't mean to.
Listen, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Yeah, guys. I'm sorry for that break in the middle there. I definitely. This isn't my favorite episode of this season, but it's up there. I think it's very good. It definitely makes me come around to the Ashi character even more than I already have. I love the slow burn of her coming around through the first 5 episodes, and now she's definitely going to be like a major hero in the next 5 episodes. I think that's great. I love the Scotsman stuff. It's some nice levity in there, and I also love just morose Aku was fun. and just also some very serious moments as well. So it's a nice mix of comedy and drama. So yeah, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob?
I thought you were gonna go, but I kind of have to agree with what you guys said. No, I mean, there's not much really I can add to it. I mean, the beginning scene with Aku was a bit of a highlight into what he could potentially be. It'll be interesting to see, like, now that he's like become so down. It'd be interesting to see him like be all up and perky again, like he usually was. I mean, like in the earlier series, he was like always so lively and full of energy. Now he's like, ugh, what is the point of life anymore? Basically, without Samurai, without Jack, he has no reason for living anymore.
It's kind of like a Joker and Batman dynamic in a way.
Yep.
Without Jack, there is no Aku.
Yeah.
Without Batman, crime has no punchline.
But without the Samurai, world domination and total control, the universe has no punchline.
It just means nothing to me.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see where Aku's character goes from here. And Ashi, she's definitely growing on us as well.
Yeah,
definitely.
And never mind, you guys go ahead. I'm done.
Sorry, you sure you don't want to finish your thing?
Everything. I mean, I said my piece.
Okay. Yeah, overall for me, it's again, we're having really strong episodes. It's really hard to rank them, I got to tell you, because they're all so good. They're all so different, though. And they're all different. That's the thing. They're all different, but they're all good.
Mm-hmm.
I still, honestly, I would say, I mean, like you said, like I keep saying, it's like comparing diamonds to each other.
Yep,
the Pixar diamond thing, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would still say last week's episode was a better one in most regards, but I still like this one.
I would definitely say last week's was definitely a big highlight of the season for sure.
I'll agree in that. I think I personally like the last one more than this, but that's not a knock against this episode. Again, I think this one, what I really liked about this one's I think this one probably is the most in tune with the original series so far. It feels like
it's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, and again, I'm just saying, again, they're all really cool and distinctive in style. And again, I like that. This episode is pretty much an episode of the original one, but again, it has like the ending of this really goes kind of in this dark, interesting direction. It's like really interesting and thought provoking in the end. So it's all really good reaction-y one. It's like really good. Like, oh god, it had me in the beginning, had me in the end. I mean, again, it really emotionally got me in the opening with the Scotsman thing. It really kind of just like death can come at any time for you. And it's in this show again where you can go full immolation. You never know. I mean, Aku he messes around, but now when he messes around, there's going to be a body count. So again, overall, really good episode, consistent with and the quality of the other ones. But maybe not a favorite, but again, it was good. That was really good.
Sure. Okay, folks. Well, thank you for joining us. Until next time when we talk about more
Samurai Jack. Watch it.
He's got to get back.
Back to the past.
Samurai
Jack.
Samurai!